Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The episode has not started. I have the most incredible news ever. And I'm going to announce this news on this microphone live right now. We have done 0 teasers. If you're listening to this episode right now, as it dropped, you were probably one of the first people to hear this. So really listen up, y'all. I have the craziest TDS news ever. Okay, but before I tell you what that news is, I have to tell you a quick story. In season 3, the opener, I had did an episode called Had I Known. Okay, I had opened up and shared the most beautiful experience I ever had. The year before that, I had asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant me my ultimate dua. And it was one of the nights of Ramadan, just like the nights right now. And I asked and I begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow me to take my parents to Umrah. This was a dua I was making for years. But I had gone to a point where I was like, I really need this right now. But I had no means to go. 0 means, $0, 0 everywhere. But I wanted to go so bad. And I knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make the impossible possible. And the advice of my friend, Safia, she gave me was, you make the dua and you have to have yaqeen. And as you know, as the story goes, I had given $5 to secure the spot of me, my mother, and my father with no way to go. And if you listen to the episode, you know that I got there. That me, my mom, and dad got to Umrah. And I shared that story live on this podcast. And since then, I have seen such beautiful testimonies. Since then, so many of you guys have come to me. Literally, I get a message every month where somebody says, that I heard your story, I did the same thing, and I got to Umrah. Thank you for sharing your story. I don't want to cry, okay? Thank you for sharing your story. Sorry, I'm just so honored that, that story that was so personal to me was so impactful to all of you. Wallahi, I'm so grateful. And so many of you have made dua for me and TDS while you're on your Umrahs, and I cannot tell you how much that's meant to me. And I'm so proud of all of you. The second dua that I made after that trip was that I wanted to offer my community, TDS, okay, an opportunity for us to help them go to Umrah. For TDS to have our own Umrah package, our own Umrah group. It was something I supplicated. I said, Ya Allah, make that a possibility. Well, it's happened. TDS presents our very first Umrah, a journey of the heart, the soul, and the spirit. From November 23rd to December 1st, 2025, join us for an unforgettable experience in the blessed cities of Mecca and Medina. Collaboration with Dar es Salaam Travel, trusted for over 35 years, in delivering seamless and spiritually enriching pilgrimages. Just imagine, guys, us walking in the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, walking through his masjid, walking to the haram, going together, benefiting, praying together, making dua together, advising each other, just being there with one another. And visiting historic masjids that hold the echoes of our deen's most powerful moments. Our package includes a daily open breakfast buffet, okay? A guided ziyarah in both Mecca and Medina, and seamless transfers to all major sites like Masjid Quba, Masjid Qiblatain, Jabal al-Nur, and more. You're going to travel stress-free with us with our comprehensive package. But can I tell you guys the best part about this package is that we tried to make it as inexpensive for everyone. You guys know how I had nothing to go to Umrah. And I know so many of us want to go, but maybe financially we're not there yet. So this is our best attempt to make it as inexpensive as possible. The first 10 people who sign up can secure their seats with $50. Yep, our land packages start at $1,895 USD for quad rooming. Did you hear that? It's an Umrah land package, no doubt. But our land packages start at $1,895 USD. From now to November, if you save little by little, you can get there so fast and secure a spot. And also, if I'm being frank, if you simply supplicate, okay, if you supplicate right now to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it's khair for you, He'll accept it, and I will see you at the haram. If spots fill up though, don't worry. There will be a waitlist in place. Don't miss this opportunity to experience the beauty of Umrah with a community that feels like home. I want to meet all of you doing the best act ever. So that is my news. I can't believe this is happening. I actually have to pitch myself. Should I pitch myself? I actually have to pitch myself. If you want to sign up right now, go to our Instagram or go to our description box of this episode. Click on our link tree. It's going to be literally the first link. Sign up there. I really hope I get to see as many of you as possible. It is going to be the trip of a lifetime. As you know, TDS is all about connecting hearts, elevating faith, and traveling together in devotion. See you there.
People aren't gonna understand until they understand. Like if you've never experienced this before, this is a lie. Even for me, it's a lie. Like my laptop is being shut off. All this technical difficulty issues that shouldn't be happening, that weren't happening before. This is real.
This is real. And anybody that denies it's not real, up to you. Up to you. But we're gonna try again. Bismillah.
Bismillah, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is your sister and friend Adar, and you're listening to the Digital Sisterhood podcast. For those of you that already know and have been following us on Twitter, TikTok, all the socials, you know that the TDS team has faced really unique challenges this season. And I'm really when I say unique, I mean difficultly unique. This season. Seriously, guys, we knew this was going to be a tricky season. We knew it was going to be a complicated season for so many reasons. But still, none of us foresaw the events that transpired just trying to get these episodes out. Especially this story. If you guys saw my TikTok about our journey recording this episode, then you know kind of what went down. But if you didn't, let me tell you, okay? While I was recording this episode, I kid you not, my bedroom light started to flicker on and off. So much so it started to distract me because I'm recording in you guys know I record in my bedroom, and I'm interviewing this incredible guest, and I literally see from the corner of my eye, from the screen, my light's flickering on and off. My light was on. So it was flickering on, off, on, off. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on with my light? My light has never done that before. Okay? It's never done that before. So I'm looking at my light, I'm like, what's going on? I didn't want the interview to stop, because it was getting to the good part of the story. And so I just ignored it. I always ignore things. I ignore everything, okay? Until I have time to pay attention to it. Then, when that didn't catch my attention, the guest that I was interviewing's laptop turns off. Disappears. Okay? Podcast interview ended abruptly in the middle of the story. I'm looking at our producer, Khoya, who's also on the call. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? Then we experienced an obscene amount of technical difficulties. Listen, guys, I have recorded podcast episodes for 4 years, okay? I have seen it all, or at least I thought I saw it all. But the kind of technical difficulties I experienced recording this episode had me stop in my tracks and think, should I be telling this story? Am I inviting something I shouldn't be inviting? Guys, I kid you not, when all of this kind of happened, my mom came to my room saying, maybe, record this episode somewhere else. My mom was like, I don't know if I have time for this kind of energy you're bringing into this house, okay? We already got our demons and difficulties. I don't need you adding another layer. But I really was contemplating deeply forget about this episode should air, but if this whole season should be aired. Not because they weren't good stories, not because they shouldn't be heard, but because what are the consequences? What are the consequences? Let me just give you a little bit of a snippet of kind of what we experienced because I recorded it. And I thought it would add some, je ne sais quoi to this episode because some people don't believe us. I was scared recording this episode. I was scared after, editing it out. And it was difficult putting this out. But alhamdulillah, it's out. So let me give you a little bit of a snippet of what happened. It is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. I am trying to record an episode with our guest Aliatou, and it's about witchcraft. Let me tell you guys, where's the episode? There is no episode because no matter what we did, laptops were shut off. Mics were shut off. My room light is flickering. Khoya is on the call right now, guys. She's on my computer. She's frustrated. Aliatou's on my phone. She's like, what's going on? Guys, no matter where we tried to do, this was not working out. It's like as if Iblis himself, the audio disappeared. We recorded basically 2 hours. Gone. I low-key believe Iblis does not want us to tell a story because we are revealing the darkness that is this stuff. Black magic, witchcraft, and here's a person saying, don't be a part of this life. Like, you don't want to go down this road. And I'm not even down this road, and this is what's happening. Guys, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this episode because we're going to have to record again because it's that powerful and that necessary that we're going to have to do this again even though we are so exhausted. Why was my light flickering? Can I know? Why is Aliatou's computer shut off even though it's not dead? Please tell me, you guys. Tell me. Except that he's against us. He's against us. But don't think we're going to back down because we're not, guys. This episode's coming out whether he likes it or not. We are right, Khoya?
100%.
Aliatou, what do you think?
100%.
This episode is being told. We're trying again tomorrow. We're going again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're recording another God knows how many hour podcast because he's playing with us. So guys, stay tuned. If tomorrow turns out to be complete mess again, then you know. Iblis is our open enemy because he does not want us to tell a story, but we're going to tell it. May Allah SWT be with us. Yeah, signing out. God bless. Ameen. So my question is here, guys. What could have we possibly done, in our case said, that caused him to be like, oh, no, you stop talking right now. Man, I don't even know, but I will stay though. We ain't quitters. Because who do we really fear? Right? We don't fear them. We fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, without further ado, I'm going to tell you a story. And I hope this story, for those who are out there, who might be participating in this kind of stuff, right? Or who don't understand what's really going on when you participate in this stuff, I hope that this episode completely changes your life. And not only does it change your life, it changes your trajectory and how you decide to move forward. That's what I pray for. I pray that you come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a radical way. So much so that you do not put anything or anyone above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is my intention for this episode and really for this entire season. So bismillah, as we all know, we're all Muslims here. So you already know, it's time for us to pull out the tools in our arsenal to good use here. Yes, ma'am. In this blessed season of Ramadan, because it's our favorite season, all of us are making our way back to Allah, right? You are, I am, everyone is. Almost the same way people travel to do Umrah or Hajj. We are purifying ourselves before Allah humbly for His forgiveness and for His guidance. Truthfully, we cannot do that until we not only know Allah, but believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once we've done that, we must revere Him. Not just in where we admire Him and love Him, but we fear Him also. I know for some of us, the word fear or fearing something can make us really uncomfortable. And for some of us, the word fear has actually made us a bit jaded about our religion, right? Especially some of us who grew up in a very fear-based perspective of Islam. I know the word fear and fearing something can maybe trigger some negative emotions. But I kind of want to change your perspective on that, inshallah. Fear is a complex emotion encompassing awe, accountability, and a reminder of human dependence on Allah. It's not seen as a sense of, weakness, but is a powerful tool that can force you to be channeled correctly, that can lead you to spiritual growth, resilience, and a deeper connection with Allah. Through prayer, patience, and reliance on Him, fear can transform from a burden into a profound tool for self-improvement and faith. But fear isn't just about survival. It's a teacher too. From an Islamic point of view, fear is where our most critical foundation concept lies. Taqwa, the consciousness of Allah. Taqwa is not about fearing punishment alone, but having a deep reverence for Allah's majesty, justice, and mercy. This fear teaches us humility and reminds us of our place in the vastness of creation. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "The most perfect believer in faith is the one who has the best in manners and the most fear of Allah." This form of fear leads us to piety, teaching believers to stay conscious of Allah in every aspect of life. And so, my question, I guess, is, what happens when that fear, though, takes you down the wrong path? Aliatou came from a loving household filled with rich senses of identity and culture. Her father was African American and her mother was Ghanaian. This home had both Christian and Muslim counterparts where her family practiced their faith in harmony as best as they could. And so she takes us through what looks like growing up with a diverse understanding of religion.
When I think of childhood, I think of family. I have a big family. They were always around. Different kinds of family. I have Muslim and Christian family. Both of my parents were born in the D.C. area. They grew up here. I'm from here as well. I have a Black American dad who is Guinean and Malian. And we have Christian and Muslim sides. And so growing up, it was definitely interesting to see all of the different celebrations, practices, devotations throughout the family. I will say, it definitely aided in, like I said, me going on this journey. I think it came from a place of confusion, not really knowing what is right, what is the truth, because I was exposed to a lot. Going to Christian school, going to Juma with uncles and cousins, etc. And so I think that it's kind of like opening up a Pandora's box, but alhamdulillah.
What was it like maybe going to Juma on Friday and then church on Sunday? Was that confusing at all? Especially because they're so different?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. At first I thought it was normal. I thought, okay, this is just what people do. If you're blended, this is just how you operate. But coming from a standpoint of a kid, it definitely is a little confusing because you're like, okay, well, I'm hearing that this is wrong. But then my grandma, who I love very much, is taking me here and they're telling me that's wrong. So I'm in a place where, okay, well, what's right? So I go and I look for what's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I am being led into a whole bunch of I don't want to say it's chaos, but confusion. And as a kid, you're always curious and you want to know, oh, what's this? What's that about? I heard this is wrong. I heard this is shirk. But why are they doing it? But they claim it's the same guy, So it is definitely a little hard, but
yeah. Yeah. Did it also make you, I guess, you can tell when people aren't practicing correctly? I would assume you could tell when people are making mistakes because it's that's not what you believe.
Right.
Did that also give you a bit of insight, a bit of the hypocrisy people live? Because now you understand Christianity in a deeper way and then also Islam in a deeper way. How has that kind of played into how you see people live their lives?
Sure. I think that a lot of it is culture. People mix culture and Islam, and that part becomes confusing because some things you do, you think it's Islam, but it's not Islam, it's culture. And if there's nothing wrong with culture, but if the culture goes against Islam, then it's got to go. And I think people have a hard time grasping that. I think now where I am in my journey, I can easily see okay, this is right, this is wrong. And I kind of it's coming from a place of love. I distance myself from family and friends who are not really on that journey and who are not looking to do right because you can't force anybody. They have to see it for themselves. So I try to be a walking embodiment of I've gone down a path that you should not go on. So correct it. But coming from a place of love, obviously, it can be a little difficult because you start to wonder well, why are you going down that route?
Before you found Islam, right? What kind of pursued you into doing this self-exploration? What made you think, oh, I'm going to explore, I'm going to do this? And it didn't have anything to do with the fact that you had a dad that was also African-American and had that ambiguous, I guess, past as well.
Sure.
Living in America. What led you to that kind of exploration mindset that you were, and how old were you when you were exploring that side of yourself? For Aliatou, the more she grew, the more she began to question her beliefs and values. She knew that she inherited from both sides the living generational trauma of reconciling with the past. to know the history, to know what was lost, and to keep it alive against all odds. She was also blessed with the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon all humanity, the gift that we Muslims know by name, the fitrah. Although she didn't quite see it yet, she was looking for her path back to him and him alone. But at the same time, began balancing all of these worries and concerns all at once. So when does she feel it all began? With all the places that life had brought her through, was there something that happened that confronted her head on and started asking herself the big questions? What does this all mean? What is my purpose in life I've been given?
So when I was like 17, I was a junior in high school getting ready to go to my senior year. I had a dream. There were some ancestors, and it started off as just a couple of my grandparents that had passed away, but then it turned into I'm seeing generations worth of ancestors just standing around me. And after I woke up, I took that as a sign that I was supposed to go and do ancestral work and go explore my roots and where I come from and who my ancestors are and what they were practicing in order to better find myself and connect with myself and God. And I thought that there are different paths to go down, but the phrase Sankofa, which is a proverb from Ghana, which means to go back and fetch, go back to your roots and fetch. But to me, I just took it as a sign, Sankofa, like I have to go back and fetch. And that dream was my confirmation that I needed to go and look at my ancestors for the answers. Mind you, I'm 17. This is my first experience with this, and I thought I knew everything, but that's how this started.
Yeah, that's how like we all think we know something, and then they take us on the most wildest trip, and then you learn you actually don't know anything.
Right.
So where did that lead up? Like you have this dream, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, I need to find my ancestors. And you're also not afraid of self-exploration because you grew up in a home where you saw your mom freely practice what she believed in, and you saw your dad practice freely what he believed in, and it never caused, I guess, a familial division.
Right.
So where did that no bounds lead you?
Right. Yeah, that led me down a path of absolute chaos.
Oh my God. How chaotic, subhanAllah.
Of absolute chaos. So after that, I spent a lot of time doing research on ATRs, which stands for African Traditional Religions. And these are mainly grouped West African traditional practices. And I read a little bit about some South African practices, but it was mainly different West African practices, and mainly from that practices that were taken from Ifa, which it comes from the Yoruba practice. And it was brought over via transatlantic slave trade to the Caribbean and the U.S. And it has different names: voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria, lukumi. They're all a little bit different, but they all have the same root. And it comes from the Yoruba people. All of these practices have the same root. And Ifa means life. And so I went ahead, and after a little bit of research, I decided to call up a friend who grew up in a family who practiced Santeria Olukumi, which is an Afro-Cuban ATR. It comes from Ifa, but it has a little bit of a twist. It's a little bit of infused with native Cuban practices and also a little bit of Catholicism, because during these times they had to cover their practicing with what their colonizers were practicing, because they weren't allowed to practice freely. So they had to pretend that they were practicing Catholicism when really they were practicing Ifa. So that's why you hear them call God the name Olodumare, but they're praying to Saint Michael and Saint Luke and all these saints from Catholicism. It could be confusing to someone from the outside looking in, because it's a lot of like secret practices and secret divine knowledge, as they call it, that you have to seek, and only an initiated person can know these things. So I made it my business to contact my friend who I knew grew up in it, and I said, hey, where's your mom? I want to talk.
Okay.
And yeah.
That is it. So you knew that like there was more to this that you couldn't find online.
Yeah, from what I was reading online and the YouTube videos that I was watching, I knew that there was more to it, and I knew I had to get proper training and go through a certain initiation phase to get it.
Wow. And
I was willing to do it.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be an African tradition religion, right?
Correct.
And you have to be initiated. This is not a religion you could just sign up. You could just
you
join
can't
and
just
walk
sign
into a mosque or walk into a church. You got to sign up.
You gotta sign up and pay money.
Pay money.
Some of these initiation fees can be anywhere between I've heard $1,500 to about $20,000.
Up.
Yeah.
20,000 bands?
$20,000.
Is this? What, are you sure this is not Scientology? Is it Scientology?
You know, somebody else had asked me that. It was like, this sounds like a cult. And I was like, it is a cult. It 100%. It's a practice. It's a religion. It's a cult.
All of this about Santeria, because you said it's really covered by Catholicism, but there's more to it, and that knowledge is not accessible online. But your understanding is this is a religion like Islam, Christianity. You know what I mean? You think these are like these. It's a religion. You're trying to find a spiritual side, but part of this tradition also has this ancestral side.
Correct.
Where you're connecting to your root.
Correct.
And so you're thinking this is harmless.
I'm thinking that this is
brick your pockets, Fab, but it's harmless.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this is the best thing since sliced bread, and the fact that I had this dream, and I know about the phrase Sankofa. I'm thinking that this is the ultimate gateway to finding yourself and defining that spiritual connection. And I thought, well, what better way to do it than to go to my ancestors? These people already know me, even though I never met them. We have the same DNA, and somewhere in my head, I'm thinking, your ancestors are connected to you. Like we're all one, just in different bodies.
And they could tell you about the future, past, and present.
Right. And so I'm thinking, well, if I have the proper knowledge, then I can contact them.
And girl.
And I'm going to be able to communicate with them. But I knew better than to do it on my own. So I wanted to go and get some professional, quote unquote, help from my friend's mom. She owned a Botanica, which is a store where they have all the different herbs and crystals and candles and things to trust the candles with. Yeah. And
so wait, out of curiosity, excuse my ignorance. Okay. Does it look like what I would imagine is on Vampire Diaries? Okay. With the floating things in the jar and the liquid and the eyeballs and the herbs and the random things. And then there's bare candles, and she wears like 10 rings, and she got long hair, but she looks a little bohemian, but she also looks a little homeless. But she has a home. Like, does it look like what I'm imagining people who about this community? Because I'm still thinking it's religion, but based on what you're saying that you're seeing in the store, it's a conjuring a little bit of a religion. You're making stuff.
Yes. So these traditional practices are really based on conjure work, root work, as they call it in hoodoo, because it's literally using dirt, roots, herbs to conjure up something. There is black magic, there is white magic. Magic is shirk either way, but there are good and bad, and there are people who use it for good and there are people who use it for bad. And when I first was getting ready to go to the store, everybody who's familiar with this area, not everybody, if you are familiar with the practice and you live in this area, then you probably know the Botanica, but it's very small. And I have seen it in passing. It's behind a McDonald's. And it was a McDonald's that I went to frequently. And so you see it in passing, and like, this is a Botanica. It's this big white and red letters, Botanica. And when I was getting ready to walk in there, I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, this is getting ready to look like Princess and the Frog. with you've got this evil witch doctor.
Yeah.
Like you said, like charging with eyeballs and a foot and a heart in it. That's what I was, honestly, that was my ignorance. I was expecting that. But when I walked in, I walked through the doors. It was 2 glass doors that you walk through, and they're French doors, so they open up. Both of the doors open up, and you walk in, and immediately the energy inside the place just feels very inviting. It's very attractive. Like, come to me, come to me, come to me. Like, come in, come explore. That's how it felt. It felt good. I walked in, and it felt familiar to me. the word that I first thought I could use to describe the feeling would be homey. It felt comfortable, but really it was like a trick energy. Like it felt inviting, like seductive in a way. That's the word, seductive. It was kind of like, yes, let me lure you in here. Come in. Come
Have
in
a seat. Here's some hot cocoa. Here's a chocolate chip.
And that's exactly how it went. I walked in and I was offered tea. And of course, like my friend's mom, I've known her forever. I went to middle school with this girl. I've known her since 7th grade. At this point, we're getting ready to be seniors in high school. So I've known her for a long time. I'm familiar with her mom. So like going to her space, her safe space, and talking to her about a practice that she's been practicing and her mom's been practicing and her grandmother's been practicing, and probably the first enslaved person in her family that landed in Puerto Rico that came from Nigeria has been practicing. I was definitely not prepared. I came in with a bunch of questions, but when I walked in there, I realized I was not ready because what I saw was not what I expected. When I walked in, there were multiple altars. When you walk in immediately, there's incense. She was burning frankincense and myrrh. There were the altars had plates with food, and there was water, and then there was money there. And I felt like, whoa. It was definitely like a whoa, wow. Like I was in in Candyland as like a kid. That's how it felt.
Wow. And so what did she teach you? I know you had so many questions for her. So what was that conversation between your friend's mom about this? Like, what did you tell her, and how did it all start?
So when we first walked in, she had burned some sage and some frankincense and myrrh to cleanse the energy and cleanse us because we just came from outside. And then we sat down. She just asked me, what do I think I know? And I began to tell her everything that I thought that I knew about Santeria Lukumi. And I told her, I know it comes from the Yoruba people from present day Nigeria, but back then there was no Nigeria. It was just tribes, and people were where they were. They were able to hold on to language and culture. Post-slavery, during slavery, they were able to still speak Yoruba.
Wow.
Which is amazing. They still had drums, and they were able to drum to the rhythm that Yoruba people dance to today. They still know traditional dances that a couple of my Yoruba friends that we all went to school with are like, oh yeah, how do you know this? It was like a shock when we first met her. I'll never forget. And I told her that this is why I felt drawn to it, because the fact that they were able to hold on to it, that was Sankofa to me. That was that was me going back to my roots and fetching, because they were able to hold on to it. It felt so close to home. She let me talk and explain what I was feeling, why I wanted to do this. She kind of contained her happiness. It was just like, okay, I see you know a little something. But from there, I continued to go down the rabbit hole. She invited me to, if I was interested, that I should do a little bit more research, but there was going to be a ceremony where you were going to get a godparent. And so I took it as, okay, well, if this is going this easily, then I'm just going to keep going down this path.
So you went to the ceremony and you got a godparent?
I went to the ceremony and I got a godparent. That's exactly what happened.
And it was that fast?
It was that fast. It happened probably like 3-4 weeks, maybe like a month afterwards.
So what was the rules about the ceremony? Like, where'd you have to go? Did you have to dress a certain way? And who ended up being your godparent? And just like that, she was in. After going through each hurdle to get there, it was a day of her ceremony. As the system went, she would be paired up with a godparent who was to become a vital figure in her spiritual journey. Both extremely slow and extremely fast, just like that, she was now in. Or was she? Something that Aliatou mentions throughout the story is the concept she taught us about going back to fetch. Her initial drive to pursue this path was that she was going to go back to her ancestors and fetching the very practices that maintained long before and long after slavery. As her journey started to take off, she stepped into the new world, literally. She visits the Botanica, she talks with her friend's mother, and it all comes to a peak where she arrives at the house of her ceremony would take place in. And just as quickly as it all started, her life before had ended, and her new life had now begun. Without looking back, she sets forward, all the way until something she learned as a child finds its way back to her. Pause. Okay, I just need 40 seconds of your time. Please, I have a wonderful invitation. Perhaps an invitation that might grant you Jannat al-Firdaus A'la, and you don't want to miss it. In the last 4 years, TDS has told over 60 stories with the mission to remind everyone of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their purpose in life, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gives to us, provides for us, supports us, and to never fall into despair. And in those 4 years, we've told so many stories and it's impacted so many people. It is just even hard to fully quantify. It is one of the blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided all of us, which is this platform and this opportunity to listen and to hear and to be inspired. In the last 4 years, okay, we've created such a beautiful community. If I think about it too deeply, I start crying, literally. I literally praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time when I'm alone, saying, Ya Allah, Ya Rabb, like in gratitude for this community, because not only do we do tadabbur together, we reflect together about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we also do khair together, and we are successful every time. In the last 4 years, we have built a well. We have built bathrooms for girls in schools in Africa. We have fundraised for Gaza last year, okay? And this year, I'm inviting you again to help me fundraise for another cause, a cause that is so important. Last year, I had told a story about Sudan, and I had learned that Sudan is the longest standing civil war in Africa. The things that I had learned about Sudan broke my heart. That after I had listened to the episode, I had made the intention that TDS was going to fundraise for Sudan the following Ramadan, and here we are. This Ramadan, while we gather for Sisterhood and Iftar, millions of people in Sudan are struggling to survive. Since April 2023, war has displaced over 12 million people, one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world. Famine is looming, families are starving, and one of the most vulnerable infants and children are suffering unimaginable violence. But we can make a difference like we have in the past. This year, TDS is collaborating with Human Concern International, who's on the ground currently delivering emergency relief of food and clean water to those desperate in need. Last year, Human Concern helped over 9,000 people receive aid in Sudan. Help us increase this number. Just by donating $150, you can feed a displaced family for an entire month. Okay? An entire month. Meaning your sadaqah could provide a family for 30 days. Food and water without having to think about what they're going to eat. Now, just imagine how their du'as are going to hit this month for you. Don't miss out on these blessings, subhanAllah. We have so many blessings in our lives. But let's say that you can't donate $150. Let's say you can only donate 5. Then donate 5. Donate 10. Don't walk away from an opportunity not donating. Donate something. You have no idea what that sadaqah could mean for you and your akhirah. It could be the very reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admits you to the highest level of Jannat al-Firdaus A'la. I really truly believe it's this work that we do together in charity that the reason TDS is still operating the way it's operating and the way it's being able to tell stories. You want 100 more stories? Donate. Donate, 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 donate. If you cannot donate, share this cause with those who can. Put it on your stories. Advocate. Be an ambassador. Support and help the people of Sudan. Don't miss out on this blessing. I love you all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're looking to where to donate, you can click the link by checking out the description of this episode on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or go and head over to our Instagram account. It is in our link tree. It's the first link there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and make it heavy on your mizan.
So my friend's mom ended up being my godparent, but at the time I didn't know that. I thought that I was just going to get placed with somebody random, and I definitely thought I was going to get somebody random because I thought that our personal relationship was going to be an interference. I remember it was at this house, and it's like a split level house. So for those that don't know, a split level is kind of like you walk in, there's one level, and then there's another level on top. And you had to wear all white from your head to your toe. And this house that you walked into, it's in a regular neighborhood. You're thinking it's a regular home that people live in. Because I mean, I was seeing when I was going through the neighborhood, they're regular homes with regular people with regular cars. But then you walk into this home, I mean, there's a million cars outside of this house, and you could tell like these people were here for this occasion. But when you walked in, it was nothing that I don't even think words could comprehend what I saw and what I felt. There were altars on one floor.
When you say altars, you actually mean like a wedding altar? Like there's an altar, there's like a walk like
When I
forward?
say an altar, I mean like a shrine. I guess that might be a better word for
Is
it.
that what it is?
Yeah,
And
so
there's
it's
statues like leading,
statues.
walking towards. And are these
Yeah,
statues of saints?
these are statues of the Orishas, and so it's hard to describe them, but they are kind of like saints in the regards of what Christians believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe that in order to talk to God or Olodumare, you have to go through the Orishas, kind of like the Catholics believe. You have to go through the saints in order to, you cannot directly communicate with God. You have to go through the saints.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Greek mythology.
Yeah,
It straight up
right?
sounds like these goddesses, this understanding that these gods have different elements, different characteristics, and you worship them and hope to connect with that spiritualness of their story and their character. And so I'm assuming these Orishas are kind of like that, except that you get picked one for you. Like you can be connected to one of them. Is, from my understanding, is that how it works?
Yes. So you can't pick them, they pick you.
They
That's
pick
how it
you.
works. They pick you.
So how do you know which Orisha picks you and who tells you they pick you?
Sure. So that's how you figure that out during the initiation ceremony, which is a year-long process. And getting a godparent is just the beginning. You get somebody, basically the godparent is the person who is responsible for teaching you and guiding you down this journey, because it's a lot of information that you got to know. And if you don't know the right thing, you can just mess up your life. They blatantly outright tell you that. Like, you will F up your life.
Really?
If you do not listen, if you do not retain this knowledge, if you're not serious about it. So after you get your godparent, you now have to wear all white for a year, and you have to shave off your hair.
You have to wear Monday to Friday.
Monday through Friday.
9 to 5.
Monday through Sunday. Yeah.
Monday to Sunday. You gotta wear all white. And
You
after
gotta
you're
sleep
all
in
white.
it.
What?
Yeah. You gotta sleep in it. You gotta wake up in
You're
it.
joking.
No.
You're joking.
Wallahi, you gotta, it's all white, everything. White socks, white shoes, white on your head. So in these practices, they believe that that you cover your hair for spiritual protection, because they believe that hair holds energy. That's another reason why we cut off the hair when we begin the phase, the initiation. You cut your hair off because they think that your hair is holding energy from prior to your journey. And so you're cutting it off for a new start. And then the white is symbolic to rebirth, virginity, not literally, but, in the sense of like, I'm
purity.
new again. I'm pure. Yes. And so everything in most of these religions, I will say, everything that you do is symbolic for something else. So the wearing the white is symbolic of purity, rebirth, and the cutting off the hair is another symbol for rebirth, purity, fresh start, new life. And so the very first thing that I learned was how to give a spiritual bath to myself and how to cleanse myself. I had to take a bath that was a bath that consisted of a bunch of herbs that are used for protection and banishment and to bring in prosperity. And basically, I was just cleansing myself of all energy that just didn't belong. It was supposed to be like a purifying, cleansing bath. You stand in the shower and you're all white, and you have this bowl of all these herbs, and it looks nasty. It doesn't look pretty. You ever seen those people who take those self-care baths, and then they've got the rose petals and the Epsom salt, and
it's
it
real
looks
cute.
all pretty. Yeah, no, this is not cute. It looks like swamp water. It looks like Shrek.
No.
It looks like something Shrek.
No, you're joking.
Shrek's swamp. Yeah, it looked disgusting, and I was like, oh my God. But I knew that this is what I had to do. So you stand in the shower, and 3 times you wash yourself, and you wash your top of your head, the back of your neck, your hands, the soles of your feet. And this kind of sounds familiar, I'm sure.
Sounds
little
like
bit.
wudu.
Yeah.
Sounds like wudu to me.
Sounds like wudu. Sounds like wudu. And the whole time, that's what I kept thinking. Like, this
Let's give Islam.
Where did y'all get this from?
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of order and you're missing a little bit, but the whole time she was explaining to me how to do it. I was just thinking, like, this is wudu.
SubhanAllah.
3 times, your head, the back of your neck, your hands, the bottoms of your feet.
The fact that you were even thinking about Allah while going through, like thinking about Islam while going through this ritual is even wild.
Yeah.
Like even the idea that you thought about wudu. Like, just given.
That was the first, that was the first thought that I had. So that also was another like spark in my mind, like, the interconnectedness of everything.
Oh my God.
It was just feeding into my little Delulu moment.
SubhanAllah.
Each person goes to the bath and we bathe, but we bathe with our clothes on. So it's just really another like symbolic ritual thing that we did to cleanse ourselves. And after the bath, I won't lie, I felt fresh, kind of like I bathed in. I don't know if you use Dr. Bronner's, but
the minty, yeah.
The peppermint, very fresh. Like, and there was no mint in there. I was just like, whoa, it just felt like I was a baby. I got a nice fresh bath. And after that, there was lots of singing and dancing and food, and it was a bit of a long situation, and it was also in a mix between like Spanish and Yoruba, and I did not know what was going on. I had a little bit of a translation. She was basically telling me in summary like what was being said, but the whole time I was just standing there like, they could be saying, now give yourself to Satan, and I would have been like, okay.
You would have never known. SubhanAllah. That actually gives me chills, Alia. That gives me chills because the inaccessible, like it's not accessible. That knowledge, like you're also learning, but you're also not knowing anything, but participating. You know what I mean? With that experience coming back to her, it set the stage for how she would slowly come to realize what she was doing. What took Aliatou back about the ceremony, though, is how diverse the gathering was. It wasn't just one people or one ethnic group present, not at all. What she didn't realize was she was about to truly find a window into herself and would begin second-guessing what identity truly meant to her. Was identity found in practice, or was it found somewhere else?
This godparent ceremony, it's a wide range of different people. There's lots of young kids. There are teenagers. There are young adults. There are older adults. And most of us that were getting our grandparents, I would say, if I remember correctly, it's probably like 10 of us or less. I was the only black one. Everybody else was Hispanic. I'm assuming Puerto Rican or Cuban or Dominican. But they were all like Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Hispanic. And as I was sitting there, the whole time I was just like, these people have out-Africa'd me, a West African. It's no way. I can't even speak Pular, Undarama, Nalatan, I can barely speak my own mother tongue. These people are the descendants of enslaved people, and they are speaking Yoruba, and none of them have been to Nigeria. And I just the whole time, that's what I was thinking.
You know, I've never heard of that, Alia. I never knew there were Cubans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans that had Nigerian ancestry to the point where they still speak Yoruba.
Yeah.
I have never heard of that. Maybe I'm so ignorant. Guys, may Allah start curing me from this jahilness, but like, I had no idea they existed and they were connected. Like, you're trying to tell me a Puerto Rican girl that kind of looks like J-Lo is speaking Yoruba?
Sis.
You're joking.
That's exactly what it was. My friend that I grew up with, that's what she looked like. Her mom looked like J-Lo. Her mom was a little bit more tanner.
Yeah.
And her hair was a little bit more curlier. But my friend, she looked like
Jennifer Black.
There was no black in her.
Straight up Jennifer Black.
I was
What?
I honestly couldn't believe it. And I was just sitting there like, you know, and prior to me researching about Santeria, specifically Santeria and Lukumi, because when we think about voodoo, we think of black people. We think of people from Haiti or New Orleans who are black. But when I thought of Santeria, I mean, even the name Lukumi Santeria, it sounds Hispanic. They wear in the traditional clothing of the Igbo and Yoruba people. They speak
Mashallah.
Yoruba and Igbo there. They dance there. And so but that's not the norm here in America. Like most African Americans have cultivated their own culture.
Their own culture. Yeah, because they had
and
to.
so to know that there are people in Puerto Rico and Cuba and in DR and in wherever that have held on to a language and a culture over the past 400 years, subhanallah, like it's something unfathomable. Yeah, it was an experience. It was a lot for one day, and it happened to be on a Sunday, and I had school. I think I had school yet. It wasn't quite summer yet, and I was just thinking, like, this is an all-day affair. And I was just sitting there just in shock at, wow, I am really doing this, and I couldn't believe it. Also, the godparent thing was $300. So that was my first.
Oh my God, they cashing you guys all out. What business do you have to pay $300?
$300 to get a godparent, and the godparent was my friend's mom. And I said, well, there wasn't no friend discount, a neighbor discount. I had to get that woman $300.
That is crazy.
So my father knew about it, but not really. He just thought that I was into, like, okay, so ever since I was about like 12, I've always been like a very like vocal Pan-Africanist. My mom used to drill that into me. So I think my dad just thought that this was just like another phase. Like, oh, Aaliyah's just doing this Pan-African stuff because she's just so about Africa and one people and
ancestors and connected.
Right. Yeah. So he was just thinking that this is just me and my homegirl are just hanging out and we're just, being conscious pro-Black folk. But no, it wasn't that. As a matter of fact, I don't think my dad realized that she's serious about this until maybe like 2020. So we're probably like in 2017, 2018 at this point. So yeah, it took him a couple years to realize like, oh wow.
What was
and
going
I wasn't
on?
even being secretive.
Yeah.
I just think my dad just didn't really catch on with my mom though.
Yeah.
And she's in the room, so I'm like, but she knows at this point. But I was just kind of.
How does she feel about it?
That's a good question. I wish I could call her in here. I think it was more of like a shock, obviously we did something wrong with raising you, that you felt like you had to go and do this. And my mom is very open-minded at that. But I think that it was just kind of like a shock. And I knew it was real shock because I didn't get beat and I didn't get cussed out. It was just kind of like a quiet.
Observing you.
Just kind of like watching. And reflecting back on that in retrospect, I kind of should have known like then, like when my mom is quiet, she's never quiet. So that's like, she was really just trying to like stay out of it. I guess she didn't really know what to say or to do. But also it wasn't like full blown at once. Oh mom, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm feeding her crumbs because I know her. I had to test her, give her a little bit of a taste of little piece by piece.
Yeah, you also probably wanted to convince her like what you were doing was good. So you didn't want to, you're not going to tell your parents all the nutty things you're seing that you're not quite understanding, like the singing and dancing in a language you don't understand. You're just bopping. And there's a lot of things you see, you're like, I don't know. But like, also you want this to work. You want this, you believe that this is going to, bring you connected to your background, to your roots.
Right.
You want to go out, and fetch. And that's what you want to do. So obviously you're not going to tell them everything that you're thinking. Instead, you're going to show them the good that you're experiencing.
Right.
So anyway, so what happened after that? So you found out your friend's mother is your godmother. Mm-hmm. Were you happy about it or were you awkward about it?
I was happy because it was like, oh, I know her. And it's so like, I didn't have to like get to know somebody and... Because I don't like that. I mean, I like getting to know people. I love getting to know people, but I felt very vulnerable in that space. As much as I kept throwing around the word Sankofa and I think this is it, I also kind of felt out of place. I think when like I knew like, okay, this is my godmother, it was kind of like a sense of relief because I didn't have to pretend in a way. Mind you, I'm only 17, so I'm not that mature. And I think that this is something that's very mature and very adult to do. Like, go and join this religion, and it's not really for kids. I mean, it is for, there are kids who are in it. My friend grew up in it, but I think as a kid to make that decision, I think I felt like all eyes were on me, and people were like, who is this? Where did she come from? Her family's not a part of it. So, like, where did she find out about us? And I don't want to say judging, but I felt like people were, like, looking at me, trying to figure me out. And I knew that having her as my godmother, like, I didn't have to worry about somebody trying to, like, pry and figure me out. And that would make me feel like even more like I don't belong here, because you guys can't believe I'm here. You know what I mean? So having her it made it easy for me to be able to understand things when I didn't quite grasp things. She was there to break it down to me. She always felt like having like a auntie with me. So it made me feel a little bit more comfortable, even though, like, doing all of these things, a lot of it is shocking and it's not the most comfortable thing. And so having her there just made me feel
easier,
a little bit, a sense of ease.
because she was someone you knew.
Right.
So you do the ritual, and now you have to do a year of studying this.
I have to do
this
a
religion.
year of studies,
Girl,
a year in white,
you gotta
a year
do your
with no
time.
hair.
So
Right.
tell me, like, when did you shave your head? Because you know how Black people feel about their hair. So I'm shocked that you shaved your head top,
Girl,
at 17.
When I shaved my head,
Oh my God.
I hid it for a while. I've never been into wigs. But when I shaved my head, I was like, okay, I gotta get something, because I have naturally red hair as a Black woman, and my hair has always been on the longer side. So I knew there's just no way I'm gonna be able to put on a black wig. My mom's gonna be like, girl, what? Black hair? Like, what? You don't ever wear hair. But I did. I hid it. So I bought a wig. I dyed it. I went to the beauty supply store, walked to the beauty supply store, got some bleach, got some dye, got it as close as I could to my natural hair color. And my hair is like a ginger red, just a little bit browner. And I wore it, and I think I got away with it for a good 2 months. One day my mom called me in the living room, and I forgot to put the wig on. I was already in bed. And I just kind of hopped out of the bed and
Imagine seeing your bald head. Imagine seeing your bald-headed kid in your living room. Oh my God. Unprovoked, bald-headed. I would have been like, what on God's green earth encouraged you to cut your head off?
She told everyone, and my aunt was getting married, and I was in her wedding, and that was a big thing. Like, she was like, I don't want to offend you, but you're gonna have to cover that. I was bald.
Did you tell her why you shaved it? Did you
I told,
but you
so
tell
my
her?
my reasoning to everybody, because when I say my mom told everybody, I mean she told everybody. I mean, even just random people who would just be somewhere, and she would just be like, my daughter shaved off all her hair. I don't know why she would do that. And the reason I gave people was, I'm finding myself, and they believed it, because that fit me. This was nothing new. This whole finding myself.
Oh my God, Aliatou, you're making me paranoid when I have a kid. If I see her bald-headed. Are you practicing witchcraft? I would literally say, are you practicing witchcraft? Have you joined a religion?
No, seriously.
Have you joined a religion? I would be so paranoid if my kid cut off hair. Oh my God, guys, whoever's listening, ring the alarm. Anybody that starts cutting their hair out of nowhere, they're in some deep stuff. They need you help to get them out of.
Unless it's like a big chop, probably. And that's also another reason why I think I got away with it, because I was also like, I'm finding myself. And then I was like, I've always been into my natural hair. My hair before I put hijab on has always been a me thing. I care about my hair a lot. I always take good care of my hair. And so I was just kind of like, I cut my hair off. The energy is gone. And I got that from them, but it just sounded like Aaliyah. It sounded like Aliatou. It sounded like something I would say, your hair holds energy, so I'm going to cut it off and I'm going to start this new journey. So it wasn't too alarming. But yeah, honestly, within a year, I grew back pretty quickly. I got locks after that. And I had my hair locked up. Yeah, child.
So what happened? So tell me highlights of that year. What happened? Walk me through the year of you seeking knowledge.
Sure.
The year that you're building up to in order to be fully initiated into this community and be given an Orisha on your head and your feet.
Right. So within a year, you were learning the history of this practice, specifically Lukumi or Santeria. You spend a lot of time getting to know your godparent, their path, and their orishas, because generally speaking, you kind of get the same orishas as your godparents. And so usually it kind of goes like whoever your godparent is, whoever's in charge of instructing you, you kind of, their orisha, their head orisha will pick up on you, pick up on your likeness. But that's not the case for everybody. Sometimes it's different. But then there's like 7 or 8 main orishas, and you're getting to know the main orishas, their characteristics. What are they known for? What purpose do they serve? Who do they represent? What do they represent? And you learn like how to please them, because you, at this point, you're going to be working with spirits. You're working with these spirits who are going to control your life. That's why I say you have a head and you have a feet. You have to please them.
What?
Yeah, you have to please them. That means weekly offerings. For instance.
Oh my God.
Yeah. For instance, for one of the orishas, you have to go to a railroad crossing and leave an offering there for him.
You're lying, Alia.
And so, sometimes matter of fact, I saw a TikTok, maybe back last year. This girl had found this baggie at a railroad crossing, and she picked it up and took it home. And she was like, "Guys, look what I found." She was like, "I don't know what this is." And she opened it up, and she was like, "Oh my God, it stinks. It smells horrible." And the whole time, I'm watching this, and I'm just like, you don't even know what you just picked up, and you need to go replace that. Because when people who are innocent, I know that's an innocent little mistake, but you pick it up, now you got that work on you.
Oh my.
Work is what you call these things. Yeah. So you gotta. So you're learning these things in this year.
So
you're
wait, so what do you unleash? Like, let's say you picked that up. Oh my God, I'm really mind blown about what you're saying. Wallahi.
Yeah.
So what she picked up, she just unleashed on herself. But it's not a good thing what she unleashed. It's a bad thing.
It's definitely not a good thing, because those offerings are it could either be one thing. It could be the person doing their offering that they have to give. You have to give offerings in order to keep your life stable. That's just
And
how
if
it
you
works.
don't,
And
your
if
life
you
is not
don't, then
there.
they're gonna ruin your life. Oh, it's no secret.
Oh
They will
my-
ruin your life. They will destroy you. I've heard stories about people's children being unalived because they did not
What?
please their orishas. Yes, this is real. People have gone to insanity just because they haven't pleased these orishas the right way. You are literally submitting your life to these unknown forces.
Unknown energy, this quote unquote spirit, which
exactly.
Subhanallah.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I'm getting chills. So, bro, I'm getting chills, bro. That is so crazy. So, Alia, be real with me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You knew that at the end of this ceremony, you would get an Arisha at the top of your head and your legs that you would later have to do offerings. And you would have to do it properly, or else all hell is going to break loose. That's what they're teaching you.
Right.
Hell will break loose. There is a script, an instruction, a manual of how to essentially have a relationship with these Arishas.
Yeah.
Which is energy, spirit, and I believe at this point, jinns, right?
Right.
And you have to have your whole life is to have a relationship with them. And if you do not, all hell is going to break loose in your life. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And at 17 years old, you say, yep, sign me up. Sign me up.
At 17 years old, it sounded like, it didn't sound like that. I'll say it like that. At 17 years old, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like this was a way for me to find myself, and everything else I just didn't care about, because I knew, I'm going to do what I got to do to keep my life. Why would I purposely not do what I had to do?
Choice.
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But it's deeper than that. Anything on a spiritual level is deeper than anything on the surface level. It gets deep, and the roots are deep. So it's not just about, oh, I'm not going to give this offering and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so you're learning all about these things throughout this year. You're learning a lot of secret stuff that I just for the greater good of everybody.
You're not allowed to share it?
I will not. I will not. There's just some things that I just will not tell people, because if you knew it and you went and tried it, I'm not going to have that guilty conscience that, I'm responsible for giving this knowledge. That's why most of it's kept secret. And you have to be initiated to know it.
Is it taught from a book, or is it like the thing, that knowledge that you're saying?
It's just kind of like ancestral knowledge. Like, they just know it, and they know it because their mom told them, and their grandma told their mom, and their great grandma, and it's just generational at this point. And it's some powerful stuff.
Just to give it context, or I'm so curious about this, just to give it more understanding.
Sure.
Is this knowledge about connecting with the other realm?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not only, I feel like how you connect with it, that's pretty common knowledge. You can go on TikTok right now and find a million videos on how to connect with the spirit world. That's not the issue. The issue, I mean, we do it every day when we pray. We're connected with Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, that's Allah, but you can connect with some things that you probably shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be connecting with.
Yeah. And so it's not really more so like how you do it. It's kind of like how to hex somebody, how to lay roots, as they would say, on somebody, and exactly what you want to do. Yeah, you could make somebody go crazy.
So black magic.
You could make somebody be schizophrenic. Yeah.
Straight up black magic.
Straight up.
So this knowledge is rooted in how to do black magic.
Straight up. Now, when you are going through this year, you're not generally taught how to do it, but you're taught what it is and how to do it for precautionary reasons, how to protect yourself against it, because there are people who take this knowledge and use it for bad. So what their goal is to teach you how to better your life. You're learning how to cleanse yourself from negative energy. You're learning how to cleanse your house, how to keep away what we know as jinns out of your house, out of your life, how to keep them at bay. You're learning how to protect yourself from people who do black magic, things that you can use, herbs that you can go pick outside. And you get this little like pouch that they call like mojo bags. And you would put like different herbs in them. And those are like protections. In their practices, you would wear jewelry that would protect you. So like, there's some Muslims who believe like an evil eye, like wearing an evil eye amulet or wearing a Ayatul Kursi. Yeah, they believe that might be protecting them from something. But so in these practices, they believe that these little bags, you put these herbs in these bags and you say a prayer, you read a verse from the book of Psalms, because they believe the book of Psalms is a book of prayers and a book of spells. It's affirmative, it's affirmations, it's affirming, using God as like your protection. And so they believe that while reading this and doing this work, this is how it's working. So you're learning how to protect yourself against like black magic and stuff like that. But you also in turn learn like, okay, this is what black magic is.
But like, to me, you're blowing my mind, because also the fact that they're teaching us that you can hex people, and they're also saying, but these are the ways to protect yourself. It's still knowledge sharing of how people can use it however they want to use it.
Yeah.
Like you hope people don't get into this stuff, but at the end of the day, you're also equipping them with the knowledge of how to do it.
Right. And so
it's like contradictory.
Right. Generally, with learning like the black magic stuff, any of these practices, it costs a lot of money. I already told you how expensive it is, but there are people out there who are willing to teach people who are ignorant how to perform stuff that they have no business performing for a little bit of cash, unfortunately. So you always gotta, watch out, stay prayed up, because you don't know who knows what, and it's not that hard as long as you have access to. You don't even need nothing, but you can use some dirt that you find outside and a stick.
Wow. And that's the interesting part that you were saying before this recording, is that this stuff is accessible. And it was created for those who didn't have access to other resources to be able to conjure through resources that are accessible, like dirt, like trees, like herbs, anything, something even was just around you.
Right.
And be able to conjure.
Right.
And that really threw me for a loop. Because I was like, yeah, nowadays it's gate kept where it's like you got to pay somebody for that knowledge.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you know something, you can do something.
You can do
just
it
by going outside.
Just by going outside.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like this thing where you have to travel and be like, I gotta look for this one flower. You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, do they gotta like travel to find some of these recipes, quote unquote, in order to conjure? But it's like, no fam, they just have to go outside to their local park.
Go outside to
and
your
do a
local
1-2-1-2.
park. Most of everything is earth stuff. It's stuff that was easily accessible to people who had nothing. And this is why conjure work is why people usually resort to that when they are kind of like, I got nothing else. Because what else can I lose?
Desperate.
I'm desperate.
Yeah.
When I was learning about how to communicate with the other realm, I think that at first I was definitely like, oh nah, I don't know about that. I mean, I was like, if my ancestors come to me in a dream, I'm okay with that. It's a dream. I can control that. I could wake up. But having to set up like altars in your house, and at first I was a little weary, but I ended up doing it. So my friends and I were hanging out. It was 3 of us, me, Sam, and Tiffany. And we were hanging out with Sam down by the water in Alexandria. And it's really nice out there during the summertime, good vibes. We were just chatting, playing music, painting watercolors, just out there having a good time vibing. We ended up going back to my friend's Sam's house. And we were chilling on the back, just talking again. He was playing a guitar. We were just chilling. I was too tired. At this point, it's late. His mom was like, oh, you guys gonna go back home? I was way too tired to drive. My friend was way too tired to drive. So he drove us back to my place. And my friend was like, you want to smoke? So we went outside and we smoked. We came back in. And we were just sitting there listening. I had Erykah Badu playing on my Alexa. And I decided that I was going to set up my altar. I was like, you know what? I'm not scared now because I have somebody here with me. So if anything happens, I won't feel crazy. There is somebody here to witness anything with me, right? So I went and took a picture of my grandfather that I had, and I went and got some water. And mind you, I'm moving very quiet because it's probably like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning at this point. Everybody's sleeping in the house. So I go and get a glass of water. I get a picture of my grandfather. I go heat up some leftovers that's in the fridge. I lit an incense and I began to set up my altar. I took the picture. I set the picture up. I lit the candle. I had a white candle. And so basically what we learned about the white candles, each color candle does something different. But in general, a candle in general, it's kind of like, let's say you're in like a very dark house. There's no windows. There's no doors. It's just pitch black. You put your hands out in front of you. You can't even see your hands. And all of a sudden, you see a flicker of light all the way on the other side. And you just start following that light until you get to that light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a candle. This is what lighting a candle is like on the spiritual realm. You're lighting a candle. To them, it's pitch black. And this candle is kind of like a SOS, like a signal, like kind of like a moth to a flame in a way. Come. Yeah, like come this way. Yeah. That's why so I have to say, they do say when you setting up an altar, the picture is always imperative. And then saying the name is always imperative. And setting an intention is imperative because anything could come. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not intentional about who you want to attract, you will attract any and everything. All types of energy, all types of spirits will come to you. So that's why when you set up an altar, those pictures, those symbols are important because you are specifying the energy that you want in your space.
Yeah.
This is why we shouldn't have pictures of living things as Muslims. Because jinns take the form of it. This is real. I've seen it in real life with my own eyes. Experienced it.
Oh my God. Okay.
experience it. I'm not saying your picture's going to get up and it's going to start talking and the eyes are going to start moving. No, but you're creating a space for it. You just have the perfect ingredients for disaster and you don't even know it. Okay, you have your pictures in your house. Oh, I got this cute candle from Bath & Body Works. I'm going to light this candle. It smells so good. I like this candle.
Okay.
Oh, I'm thirsty. I'm parched. Let me get some water. I could eat a snack. Get some chips. You've created an altar and you don't even know it.
Oh my God.
Wallahi, it doesn't have to be sitting in front of you.
Because you're leaving the food out and the candle
You're
is
leaving
lit.
the food out. You're leaving the water sitting out.
Yeah.
You got the candle lit. Alhamdulillah for Islam, because like a lot of things, like it seems strict. You can't do perfume, scents. That's another thing. That's what the incense are for. They love scents. They're very attracted to scents. And another reason why we should not be wearing, as Muslim women, scents around men that we're not married to or that are not our
mahram.
Yeah. We shouldn't be doing that because there's a reason. And the Quran does not specifically say like, but it's the energy.
Obviously, what you're cultivating in your home with the pictures and the music and the, and the uncovering of food, and
energy.
you're creating something that is negative and feeling, but you're inviting something that you're not really taking two teas in it. And then subhanAllah, like you were saying, our deen, people always say it's a bunch of, you can't do this and you could do this. You can't halal and haram, and it's all these rules for a reason. Listen, if you don't have, today, if you were in a prison unjustly, and it was like this maximum security prison made like Alice in Wonderland with all these mazes. If you do not have the blueprint, you'll never get out.
Right.
You'll find yourself circling the whole time. A blueprint in this life is absolutely necessary. Allah SWT has written this blueprint in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ has fully, contextualized it for us.
Right. So I'm setting up this altar. My friend and I are just sitting there. I'm setting it up, and not even 30 seconds, 45 seconds into me having the altar set up and all, everything lit, felt like there was like 1,000 people just hugging us. Like you just felt like the temperature in the room got hot. Like our skin felt hot. It just felt suffocatingly hot, and all I could think of, I just immediately just grabbed my sage and lit it and opened up a window, and immediately like the energy just cleared out and it was just back to normal. And my friend and I were just sitting there and we were just so in shock, and then we just started laughing just out of like shock. We couldn't believe it. Mind you, we had smoked, but at the time I was a smoker, and so I wasn't hallucinating or none of that happens when weed. So I was just like, whoa, I know I'm a little lucid, but we both experienced the same thing. This is real. Like, you can't deny that. So that was day one of me living with jinns.
Huh? Living with jinns? Oh my goodness. Oh my God. How are we stopping here? That is so unfair. Oh my God. I'm biting my fingernails. This is crazy. If you're hooked and eager just like I am for part 2, then sister or brother, mark your calendars for next Friday. You do not want to miss what happens next. In part 2, we explore Aliatou's real life experiences with the world of the unseen. Truly, I believe this story is one of the realest cautionary tales out there, because not only did she live it, she survived it, and she's still here with us today, alhamdulillah, teaching us valuable lessons about faith, life, and tests that sometimes feel so unique, just like our fingerprints, but in reality are not. Please, as you listen to the story, please respect the guest who's opening herself up to tell you her story to benefit us all. This is not a place of judgment. This is a place of love, empathy, and learning. Please be kind in your reactions and comments. We're all on a journey back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Truthfully, where all our journey begins from really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you came back from. It doesn't matter, right? What really matters is our ending. So please, remember that when you're listening to these stories, it doesn't matter where someone came from. If their ending end of the day is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. But before I jet, you already know I have to give my dues, my credits to the incredible team that produced this episode. I love to give a shout out to our guest, Aliatou. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being brave enough to do this. I want to give a shout out to our production manager, Maheen Khan, our seasoned lead producer, Khoya Bazid, as well as our episode producer, Lamisa Chahan, writer Naomi and Adar, that's me, favorite sound design engineer, Yusuf, our head of marketing and design, Wasim Farah. I also love to give honorable mentions to Safiya Mohammed, Noor Sheikh, and Sosan Abdullahi. Thank you for supporting all of us. All right, guys, thank you for listening. As per usual, you already know what my outro is. I'll see you guys next week in your ears, in your speakers, telling you a good story. Digital Sisterhood Show. It's not looking good, you guys. Day 2, everything is going to tank, man. Nothing is working. Listen, they don't want us to tell the story. What are we gonna do, guys? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I'm about to have a mental breakdown.
It's been 2 days, and in almost 3 hours today alone.
3 hours.
We've just been sitting here trying to make it work. Everything that could go wrong is going
wrong. I don't know. What are our thoughts? What is our reflection? What do we think is going on? Either the jinn saw my TikTok video and they're very upset about it. And they're like, oh, we're going to show you, my bro. We're going to show you what we're exactly capable of. Oh, no. And now I'm getting a phone call. The last minute I need a phone call. I don't need a phone call right now. And
all we're shadowboxing.
Like, this whole situation, like, jinns 1, us 0.
I know.
Wallahi.
It's like, I feel like, I honestly feel like that's what's going on.
They beat us yesterday. They beat us again today. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Ya Allah, we ask for your aid. We ask for your help because no one can beat you. Not even them. They can't.
I mean, they gotta
we asked for this story to come out, man. But you guys just pray for us. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe this is not them. Maybe Allah is telling you, wait, the right time, the right moment, Aliatou will tell her story and she'll do it the best she's ever done it. You never know. Maybe maybe we're spinning this narrative incorrectly. Maybe we're giving the jinns too much credit.